part of any new fancy house. A beautiful, decorative garden of fragments of silicon.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments of Silicon. Pardon our dust here. Our scheduled guest has not arrived in our Discord yet. We are not exactly sure what's going on. Double check. There's no confusion about the time or the date. Um, know that she has some medical issues that may be preventing, but that is speculation at this point. Like, messaged her over Facebook. Seemed to get it. Um, so what we are doing here is we will run through the motions of the news, and if that is not time enough, we will flip the topic of discussion first, um, and we will shift into the interview when and if Becky arrives.
Mhm.
So, with that in order, we shall get to the news. I suppose, first of all, Mac is not here this week, at least not right now. His status is a bit of a question mark this week. Like, let's see. I won't run into details, but he's having some, let's say, problems. You
Life's a
know,
bitch.
yeah. I mean, it, those are his details to share.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so he could be showing up here at any time. He could be showing. We could be not doing a episode of Last News Desk this week. That's how um in flux that situation is. Like, um as far as other things go, well, Twilight's up first because he has something he has to announce.
All right. Well, this is not quite set in stone yet, but there's a strong possibility I may be leaving Fragments by the end of this season, or at the end of this season, to be precise.
Well,
Well,
more accurate would be to say he would not be rejoining us for season 15.
yeah, yeah,
But
that's more correct. I'll be leaving at the mid season,
well,
possibly.
I'm not like the mid season. We're already past that. Like
Well,
we're on episode 19 and we are going up to episode 27. What I'm saying is there's about 2 months left in this season.
okay. All right, got confused there. All right. So yeah, it's not set in stone yet, but there's a strong possibility. Personal life stuff's been going on. Work may end up ramping up pretty soon. I have to
Mhm.
wait and see there. But there's nothing set in stone yet there either. We had a meeting yesterday, and so the possibilities there, like two coworkers actually quit recently last week. Actually, one of them just walked out, and the other just called in and said they quit. Yeah, so there's that. Um, so yeah, I'm still gonna think about it, but I'm leaning strongly towards the possibility of leaving. But we'll see how I feel by that by that time.
I mean, we still have some stuff to get through, including this year's E3. Right?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose if we were on speaking terms with Ogre, I'd see if he'd want to rejoin us for this year's E3. But I don't know what's going on with him. But he won't respond to my messages. So
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah. Besides the possibility of me leaving. Yeah, got some plans for Mother's Day this Sunday. That I'm working on. That I'm gonna take a second stab at cake baking again. I did pretty well last year with that. See how it turns out this time. I'm pretty confident in that though. Yeah, and let's see here. Yeah, the weather's been warming up some. Kentucky weather does not like to be consistent, but yeah, it gotten cooler today, but yeah, it's been decently warm recently. But yeah, it's Kentucky. It doesn't like to be consistent. Um, yeah, so that's let's see, gaming wise, I took a stab at the demo for Resident Evil Village on PC, and yeah, that's not happening. Yeah, the performance was pretty awful. So
Yeah.
yeah, my computer does not meet the minimal specs for it. Like it looking like to not be possible, but then I actually tried to play the game. It was like in the graphics settings, it was saying, "Yeah, you're good." I got like down to the low settings and try it out. It was like a badly dubbed anime. Yeah, the audio was ahead of the visuals there, and I was like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna work." So I just exited out, and yeah. So there's that, and yeah. Besides that, been playing my game for this Sunday, and yeah, that'll be it.
All right. Alex, you're up.
Let's see. The play on Sundays with Mac has been going well. Of MS Saga, we've been making progress in that pretty well. Nothing super exciting for work. Have a couple of new tasks I might be adding to my thing, but we'll see how that ends up balancing out and when they can get someone to tell me how to do the things, because that's an issue we sometimes have. And thankfully, they don't usually expect me to do things that I don't know how to do. Let's see. I'm getting my next COVID shot next week, so that will actually be on Wednesday. So I will probably be fine, but we'll see. If I'm feeling super zonked out, I may knock out a show early that week.
Mm,
But I'm not really expecting it to be bad, but I'm trying to be prepared in case it is.
Hmm.
I think that's about it.
all right. Well, Petty, you're up.
Um, hopefully tomorrow I could possibly be finally putting my new computer, I guess, together in, the state it'll be, it'll still be using my old graphics card and some stuff like that, but the CPU is at least double the speed of mine I have now and double the processing cores, so hopefully I can play more games. And I also got a bunch of Digimon V-Pets in today. I got my order of the Wave 2 Pendulum Zs. So,
Which one? Or all three?
all three. I got them from Premium Bandai. And they have that damn sticker on the back.
Too bad about the Virus Busters one. It's kind of
At least it
not
looks
the
neat.
it looks neat, and the actual original things are good, but they filled up way too many slots of it with Shoutmon and existing things that are well known.
Yeah. And also, I thought I lost my Digivice version complete, like as in I literally went to eBay and bought a replacement, Day the replacement shipped. Guess what I found?
The original one.
Yep. So that's $160. I need to either see if I can return it or if I can flip it for at least get some money back.
Hmm.
So that's fun. And yeah, just been kind of doing person things.
Sounds awful.
I
What a way
know.
to live.
I know, right? I guess next victim.
Well, guess that'd be me. Let's see. So yesterday I had to take my mother down to the next county over for her second COVID shot. I heard from her today, and yeah, the second shot provided a bit of a wallop. Um, you know, she's she appears that she's gonna be fine. Like she's not having fevers or like any of the more severe reactions to the COVID shot that some other people have had. But I did have to go over and drop some things because uh, she insists on drinking a lot of liquids. Probably the right course of action there. Let's see. Speaking of COVID, Friday, and indeed, we're not having a show on Friday because I am getting my second COVID shot at 10 o'clock in the morning, and at 2:30 in the afternoon, I have my vision exam. So, you know, like
Good job.
technically,
Good job with scheduling. I'm sure your vision will be great if you have any reactions to the COVID shot.
I'm like, well, I thought it was on the 6th for the COVID shot.
No, I'm not blaming you or anything. It's just a
It,
funny combination of things.
I'm aware of that. Like, um, you know, as the eye doctor thing got pushed.
Uh,
So, this is more a because the eye doctor only shows up on Tuesdays and Fridays, and I couldn't do it Tuesday because the aforementioned other COVID shot. Yeah, like that. This is what life delivers upon you sometimes. And in fact, we're seeing a lot of that tonight, aren't we?
hmm
Uh, Indeed. Speaking of which, I believe that's about it for my news for the week. So I would say merrily rolling along, but I don't think anyone's feeling particularly merry this week. Um, so yeah, shifting over to the topic of discussion. Um, no sign of our guest yet, uh, and just do not know if that's going to change. I haven't received any further word. Um, Also, is somebody? I'm hearing background buzzing.
Hmm.
I'm not hearing it. I don't think it's me. Let's see.
Yeah.
Did it go away?
No, no.
Okay, then it's not me. Unless it's something that has nothing to do with my microphone.
Yeah.
I've been muted, so I don't think it was me.
Maybe.
Maybe that's something with the speaker. All right.
Possibly.
Anyway, so topic of discussion. This week we are talking about Toys for Bob. Um, you know, where to start with this? So, I suppose primer into who Toys for Bob is. Um, because if they're known, you probably know them as the developer of Crash 4 or perhaps their work on the Spyro series, but they've actually got a legacy going all the way back to the early 90s. Their first game was a thing called Star Control, which is one of the more beloved space sims just ever, and really met its apotheosis in Star Control 2. And okay, hmm, in the group chat there. Maybe we'll, having our guests show up sooner than later. But anyway, so Toys for Bob, they developed the Star Control series, which is really, really beloved by old PC nerds. Gotta admit, I've never played either of any of the Star Control games. There's a delineation here because, first of all, you've got like um, two versions of Star Control, maybe three, because okay, Star Control 2 was on the PC, got a enhanced port on the 3DO, which eventually got backported to the PC as freeware and called the Urquan Masters, because Toys for Bob was working with a publisher called Accolade with the Star Control series. And after the 3DO version of Star Control 2, they wanted to go in other directions. And they allowed Accolade to do a Star Control 3. And how that whole thing ended up is in a lawsuit. Um, Short version, was kind of a win, kind of a loss. That is to say, Accolade won the rights to use the name Star Control and the stuff that they created for Star Control 3. All of the stuff that was the first two Star Control games were uh, the property of Toys for Bob, which made them freeware. Um, so after that, they had a fairly long, but I'd say ultimately fairly mediocre time with Crystal Dynamics. You know, they have the developers of things like Gex and Tomb Raider and all that. You know, you've probably never heard of any of the games unless you really do know, like the Horde. Like, and they actually had a fair amount of time under Crystal Dynamics. In fact, at one point, they were part of Crystal Dynamics. Um, but that changed in the early 2000s, if I'm remembering correctly. Um, and that's when they split off from Crystal Dynamics and went over to Activision. Their start with Activision was fairly, well, I suppose there's no other way to put this. Um, Not good. Um,
In
uh,
terms of quality of output or in terms of
Sorry, I just got a message from our guest. Yes, yes. No, um, okay. Um, you, like, sorry.
if you have notes, you can pass them to me and I can try to narrate for a bit.
I I do not.
Okay.
Um, um, she thought CT, CST, like okay, she'll be back in 20 minutes.
Okay.
Well, considering I don't think we're doing it to the last news desk, and if we are, we can go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, glad I did the. Sorry for the interruptions and all. This is live broadcasting. We usually don't have these kind of problems, but times we do.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so getting back to Toys for Bob.
They're working with Activision
Yeah,
was not
okay.
good, and I was asking if that was quality of output or if there were like internal problems.
Quality of output. They were working on licensed games, specifically like Madagascar and Disney Skate Extreme. Um,
All those games that definitely have reasons to exist besides, hey, we made a thing and want to see if we can get some more money from it.
Right, right. Um, but they seem to do a well enough job on those. Obviously these are not games that are remembered or liked, but Activision liked their work enough to purchase them in like 2004, if I'm remembering correctly. Like I think Disney Extreme Skate was the first game after the buy, or it could have been during that. Bit fuzzy on the timeline there. Point of the matter is they spend the rest of the aughts working on licensed games. Um, but it's not until like 2010 to 2011 that their next break comes into the picture, and you probably know this one. Like
Mhm.
it's probably like, granted, the franchise itself is kind of faded at this point, but I'm going to assume that people still remember Skylanders.
Mhm.
Um, yes, indeed. Um,
You mean that one thing that they like started with Spyro and then really didn't have anything to do with Spyro?
yeah, yeah, it, yeah. It was something that was born out of wanting to do a remake of Spyro the Dragon, and then they were also trying to integrate the concept of toys to life. You know, long story short, they come up with the Skylanders franchise, still ostensibly a Spyro thing, because if you remember, the first Skylanders game was, what was it, Spyro's Adventure?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, and
And it was Spyro's Adventure, unless you bought some other figure to use for the entire game.
right, he was still the ostensible headliner because, well, he in the video game, in a lot of industries, really, like even the smallest name value is prioritized over no name value. I'm
Hmm.
not saying that Spyro didn't have name value at that point, but Spyro was coming off of a bad series of fucking games.
Uh-huh.
Um,
See previous discussion about Spyro because we did that.
yes. Uh, so it's not surprising that they were able to get Spyro rebooted or reformatted. I know a lot of Spyro fans were not happy about Spyro being sidelined like he did, and him being sidelined is a yes and no thing. Like, he definitely fell into just another Skylander territory very quickly. But it was always one of the more prominent Skylanders. You know, like he's one of the stars of the television series and all that stuff.
I had
So
forgotten that there was a television series if I ever knew about it.
Well, Netflix series.
yeah, it's like technically Netflix, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Like, and the Skylander series went on to be one of Activision's biggest franchises. Like apparently it sold like $1 billion in its first year.
Yeah,
They
I'd
moved a lot
believe
of
it.
plastic for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I still have some said
and
plastic on my desk.
yeah, and they were the main developer on the franchise. Um, they did, and much like any other Activision mega franchise, they would have other studios come in and do work, whether that be porting work, like Vicarious Visions did some work on some of the Skylanders games. Like I want to say they did some of the Wii U versions of those. Um, like Beanox also did some work there. Uh, not sure if they used outside assistance as well, but this is kind of how not just Activision, but a lot of studios work these days. By the way, this is some very obvious foreshadowing, right? Yes. But yeah, so Skylanders continues on, much like other Activision, other AAA franchises. It gets pumped out year after year after year, until it doesn't. And Skylanders had a pretty short life, but a fairly average toy life, if I'm being honest.
Hmm.
Because, okay, Spyro's Adventure came out in 2011. Giants came out in 2012. I'm only counting, by the way, the mainline games. Like, um, Skylanders Trap Team was 2014. I want to say there was another game in there, in the middle there. Like,
I don't
but
remember one in the middle, but I remember the racing one was next.
that's the one I'm. Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of. And I think like either Beanox or Vicarious Visions worked on that. Like I said, it all gets a bit befuddly when you get into the details.
And
But
Giants came with bigger plastic. Uh, Trap Team came with plastic that wasn't figures but was like traps that you could set for other figures, and then the racing one came with plastic with vehicles.
And
right
there was also
now,
one where you could switch the figures around. There was like
Swap
half.
Force.
Yeah, Swap Force. Yeah.
Swap Force, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The one where you could put Stealth Elf's ass on someone else's head. Stealth Elf is the only Skylander I know off the top of my head besides Spyro. And I don't think they made him a Swap Force.
No, I don't even think they made Stealth Elf of Swap Force.
Maybe not.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry if this commentary is a bit disjointed. Like I said, it's been kind of a rattling day.
Mhm.
Anyway, but yeah, the last Skylanders game was Imaginators.
Oh God.
But that doesn't sound like it has a gimmick at all.
They decided to put gotcha in Skylanders because they're
Ah.
monsters.
Mm-hmm. And not coincidentally, I think this is pretty much the downfall of not just Skylanders, but Toys to Life. Because 2016, this is when we see Skylanders suspended as a franchise mostly. Weirdly enough, the Netflix series came out after Imaginators. Tip top planning there, Activision. Right. Anyway,
See, normally for something with Toys to Life, the way you'd put gotcha in it is with a literal gotcha machine to get the figures.
This one was digital that you got
I
parts.
know, I'm just
Yeah,
saying, you'd think.
that would be the sane option, but no,
That is what
Activision.
they do in Japan with some things.
Yes.
well, I mean, gotcha conceptualizations weren't really a thing over here in 2016.
Right.
Like, anyway, so Imaginator crashes and burns around the same time that Disney Infinity does. I think Lego Worlds,
Lego
that's out
Dimensions.
here. Lego Dimensions. Sorry, there are a lot of Lego games.
Yes, there
Hey,
are.
hey, if you got to say one thing about Lego Dimensions, at the very least, all of the people who have played that before now at least have some Legos that they can use for other Lego stuff.
Fair enough.
So, point is, Toys to Life is dead. So, what is Toys for Bob to do next? Well, the answer is actually more port work. Because they were brought in to do the Nintendo Switch version of the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. And they seem to have done a pretty keen job. And that actually plays into their future. Not their immediate future, because in releasing that same year, and definitely the more hyped thing, was the Spyro Reignited trilogy. You know, Activision had found great success with the Insane trilogy, so they did the same thing with Spyro, and Toys for Bob was the lead developer there. And from what I understand, Reignited is really good. I have the game, I just have not picked it up yet.
Yeah, I platinumed all three of them, so yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And then came 2020 and the announcement that Toys for Bob was the developer of Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. Also worth noting that they are still working on that game. That is to say, DLC and the other stuff. It's important to note that even if you're working in the Call of Duty mines, you can still work on other stuff.
Because
Uh,
spoilers, they're in the Call of Duty mines now.
yeah. So yeah, to fast forward a bit, they completed Crash Bandicoot 4, and it's been announced that they're going to be working on the third season of Call of Duty Warzone as a support studio. And people have lost their shit over this, as they tend to do with these things. It's definitely more understandable in this case, because they're being moved to a support role. It's not like Vicarious Visions; like they're still doing their magic, and they're doing it on one of probably their biggest project ever in Diablo 2. That's a fucking promotion.
Yeah.
I get why people might be pissed off that they're not doing another Tony Hawk's game, another Crash game, something like that. I understand that, but I also understand that on the pecking order, Diablo is higher. And it's actually kind of it's the case here as well because you know Activision isn't from a business standpoint isn't wrong to prioritize their biggest fucking franchise. And so here's the other thing that may have been lost in conversation because a lot of people are lashing out at this. They're not players of the Call of Duty games, sometimes proudly so, which is
Hmm.
understandable. And I am not happy to see companies being toiled in that fucking mine. Like my favorite Activision studio, High Moon Studio, that happened to them. Nobody fucking laments their fate. They only made two of the greatest Transformer games of all fucking time. You know,
We had them on
I'm
the
like,
show.
yes, and I specifically, I knew that was gonna fucking happen to them because I'm like, okay, High Moon Studios is doing really good work. I want to get them on the show before they get Activision. And goddamn, did they get fucking Activision?
Yep.
Like, because their last original work was Deadpool. I do believe we talked about that. It was they lost half their studio, and they've been doing support work not just on Call of Duty. They did it on Destiny as well when that was one of Activision's mega franchises. So it's definitely frustrating, and a lot of the frustrating, this is going all the way back to 2010 or 2011 when Raven Software was made a Call of Duty support studio after the failure of Singularity, which is funny because this dovetails to where we are now because Raven Software is not a support studio anymore. They're a lead developer on Call of Duty. Specifically, they are the current lead developer on Warzone. They weren't at first. I want to say, like it was like Treyarch or Infinity Ward, one of them for season one, but Raven took over at some point. Forgive me if I'm not delineating properly. Call of Duty is a bit of a fog for me. It's like it's not a franchise that I find a lot of appeal for. But Raven Software has apparently been having a lot of problems over the past year in handling Warzone because, like once it's a matter of perspective. Because I get the rage over Toys for Bob being sucked up as a Call of Duty support studio, but it's also Raven Software needs some fucking help because they don't have enough developers to handle the massive thing that is Warzone. Like, ask people how big a fucking update. Like, literally, how what is it? Like 200 gigs or 150 gigs.
Something like that, yeah.
You know, that's just the fucking patches.
It's goddamn madness.
Yeah, this is a literally massive game, and it's a free to play battle royale, which means it's constantly being
Oh yeah,
updated.
that is a game which requires a large amount of continual work.
Yeah, so Raven has been having problems to the point where they've only been making at best incremental updates. Yeah, so it's not a surprise that they would need another studio to come in to help them with that. And why Toys for Bob? I would say timing. They just, Crash Bandicoot 4 has wrapped up, which means they are technically in between projects. So, they were available. And yeah, it wasn't a hard move to have them work on Call of Duty. The other upsetting thing is apparently they've suffered a unspecified and technically unconfirmed amount of layoffs. Activision has come out and said nobody has been laid off, but they're probably full of shit. Like,
Nobody has been laid off as of the end of the sentence that I am saying right now.
Everybody's gone.
Yeah. Anyway, so it could be just a routine business thing. Still shitty, but another thing about the video game industry is you will often see a reduction in staff when you are done with a major project. And that could be the case here. Since we don't know the details, we cannot specify that is the case. But it wouldn't surprise me. Also, keep in mind that Toys for Bob has been moved into a support position on both of their known projects. They're doing support for Crash Bandicoot 4, and they're doing support for Call of Duty. That just doesn't require as much manpower as when you're a lead developer. Like I said, I'm not saying this is good. I'm not saying I condone this, but I am saying this is the reality of the business. And hopefully Toys for Bob, isn't going to spend the next 10 years in the Call of Duty mines. And, keep in mind, all Activision studios at this point in time are working on Call of Duty in some fashion. But once again, a good example of bucking the trend is Beanox. Beanox has also been doing support work, but they were also the developer on Crash Team Racing, which was fairly recent. So, hopefully, they can find their feet, potentially with a new Spyro. But and Activision also said they were going to do this. They were going to double down on Call of Duty, and I also have to place blame on the fucking player base. Not specifically the player base that's upset with these maneuvers, but the Call of Duty player base. They keep buying these games, so they keep making these games, and they sell more of these than other titles. I'm sorry that's a bit of business 101, but it's a bit of business 101. Sorry, just kind of stretching things here. I'm gonna be honest, stretching thing here because Becky is supposed to arrive at any minute. said she would arrive in 20 minutes. So gotta extend things to 10:30, and hopefully we can do the other part of our show. I think it's safe to say that Mac's not going to show up, or if he does, well, I mean, he can join us, in interviewing Becky. Anyway, but yeah, and Call of Duty Warzone is absolutely fucking huge, like way bigger than Activision expected. Because surprise, surprise, it's a free-to-play title, so it doesn't have the accessibility problems that a $60-$70 game has. And make no mistake, they're still doing the yearly releases because, if nothing else, Activision knows how to run a franchise into the ground. But this also does get into
I was gonna make a comment about the reselling literally the same old version of things for yearly things on less popular platforms, but I think that's EA.
Yeah. I mean, Activision did remaster like the Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2, but they haven't been dipping into the Call of Duty backlog nearly as much as somebody knocking.
No.
Weird. Anyway, as I was saying, one of the problems with Activision being Call of Duty Incorporated is, well, what happens when Call of Duty may collapse? I know it hasn't yet. I know it's still like consistently the best-selling game of a year, unless Rockstar puts something out. But that's the past and that's the now. That's not the future. And we've seen this happen with other Activision franchises. Let me ask, how's Guitar Hero doing?
Cries deeply.
Well, it's like, I will say, yeah, they did try to bring Guitar Hero back, and it went about as well as the revival of Rock Band. Happened that same year. It's weird. But yeah,
presumably they were using the same calculator for how long before we try again with a franchise.
Yeah, and it turned out that it was just a matter of Activision and Harmonix had just burned all the fucking bridges with that one, because year after year, and not just a yearly release, but several yearly releases of Guitar Hero have shown up. And that's, there was always a certain limitation to Guitar Hero because it's attached to gimmicky plastic shit. See, also Skylanders. And I'll credit that they didn't burn out Skylanders like they did Guitar Hero, if only because they only had like a one major release a year. That was still a release a year, a toy refresh every year. And Toys to Life was fucking expensive.
Oh yeah, like $10 a figure.
And as we have all learned much more intensely in the last year or so, there's a friggin' production line required for all that plastic does not appear out of thin air.
No, it does not.
It takes time and organization to make that stuff and get it staged to be shipped to stores.
Right. Yeah, and Call of Duty doesn't have that baggage on it. It is one of the franchises I will give credit for. It's kept. Oh, hang on.
Hello.
There we go.
Hey. Hey.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
Sorry
it's
about
weird.
the time zone confusion.
Yeah, you said because I'm noting on Monday you noted ET, so
When I put down my calendar note, I put down local time. I was an idiot.
okay. Well, not to worry. Looks like I mean, you are here, so
Okay, are we doing the cameras or not? Because otherwise I'll turn off my camera.
We do not need camera.
All right,
Yeah.
camera's going off. So
I was trying to make it go away, and I accidentally left the call. Luckily, it's easy to get back in on Discord.
yeah.
that it is.
Anyway, Petty, I don't know if you have the transition music prepared.
One second.
In summation, Toys for Bob is a land of contrasts.
Yes. Sorry, we were just covering a bit of the video game news. And anyway, Petty, play us to the next segment. All right. All right. So, welcome to the interview portion of the broadcast. I'm glad we got that situated. And joining us this week is Burger Becky.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. So, how are you doing tonight?
Tired. Still recovering from leg surgery I had last week.
That's fine.
Right. How bad was that?
Well, the long story short, last May I tripped and fell down the stairs, causing my left tibia and fibia to be shattered. Not broken,
Oof.
shattered. So as a result, I had to be put in traction for about 3 weeks. Then they put in another surgery to put in all these plates and rods and 30 screws inside my leg. Then fast forward to about 3 weeks ago, my leg healed to the point where these implants were actually starting to protrude through the skin.
That's no fun.
So had a conversation with my doctor, and we felt it was the best thing to do since I don't really need the metal anymore to go in there with another surgery to get it all out. So a week ago, last Tuesday, I went in for surgery, which they took out 30 screws, 3 plates, all sorts of other metal hardware, and so now 100% natural. But of course,
I was going to say, on the plus side, at least this means your bone is regrowing.
Oh yeah, my bone is totally regrowing now.
Because if it's forcing the metal out, that means that there's bone there doing that.
Oh yeah, I saw the X-rays. I mean, I saw all the X-rays from the day I shattered my leg, and it looked bad. And but now my last X-ray was the holes are in there because of the screws, but they're starting already to fill in.
Mm-hmm.
But the bone itself, it looks, you could see the lines where the bones were put back together, but it's a bone. Both tibia and fibia are there, and I'm already starting to do a little hobbling around. I mean, I can move around with a walker, but right now, as it is just me fighting the damn painkillers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Petty, I guess you can sympathize here.
Yeah.
I mean, he had reconstructive knee surgery not too long ago.
Couple years.
Yeah, but it's good that you're getting better. Just
Yeah. Well, the whole problem is that since May, I've been working at, let's say, maybe 30% of my potential, only because I've been either bedridden or when I am, like right now, I'm sitting at my desk. But of course, once I put the painkillers on board, I can only work for maybe about an hour or two, and then I have to take a nap or, prop my legs up for a little bit just so that my leg can stretch and heal. And during that time, I'm just like lying there doing nothing. So in a way, it benefits my old comic book because I was able to do a bunch of comic book writing recently.
yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Sailor Ranko's coming back.
Yep, I've already had about 30 pages redone already, and I've already got the script done for chapters 9 and 10. So hopefully, my artist will get this. But once I start posting new pages, you should see about 3 a week moving forward.
Okay. But anyway, so I suppose getting to the main event here.
Mm-hmm.
we're here to talk about Lawless Legend.
Yes.
Okay. So for the uninitiated, what is Lawless Legend?
Imagine what if we did an Apple II Bard's Tale like game set in the Wild West? That is
I mean,
elevator pitch. It is a Wild West set RPG where you are a sheriff who comes to this new town to find out what's going on, and that there's some supernatural things going on. There's Indian lore, Indian legends that come into play, as well as, of course, the usual bandits and problems. And you have to go around interacting with other people in the towns, because there's plural, there's towns, and basically being a lawman. And as far as the Native American, we actually have a Native American consultant on board who's been going through all of our scripts, making sure that we are showing respect to the source material.
that's always good. Um, because yeah, I can think of some Western games that didn't do this. Looking at you, Gun.
Well, in
Like,
this case, we have someone from the actual nation that the game's set in that who's been consulting, and she made quite a few says, no, we don't wear feathers, we don't do this, this is how it works, and so it's okay. And so now they're wearing authentic garb. But remember that this game is on an Apple II. When the box set comes out, it will also include a USB stick that will have the game and an emulator on it, so you can run it on your Mac or PC. Just go in there, just run Lawless Legends.exe or lawlesslegends.app, and it will run it on your appropriate. But it's still an Apple II game.
I mean, that's a lot to
That's an
unpack.
interesting set of restrictions to work under.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
I
game's
mean,
labor of love of two people. Because what happens, I actually came on the project late in the game. The game's actually being done by Seth of 8-Bit Weapon and a gentleman by the name of Brandon, who's the one who actually came up with the 3D engine that the game is using. And the two of them have been working on this game for well over 4 years before they approached me and saying, "Hey, can you give us some tips on how to do RPGs?" And I then gave them assistance, helped out with some coding, and then, of course, came the idea, says, "Hey, you want to publish this?" And I said, I jumped on it.
that is not surprising given your love of Apple II machines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and what was it like going back and coding for Apple II?
Honey, I'm home. Oh my goodness. It's just the ability to write Apple II code. To me, it's like I never left. I mean, I was churning out Apple II code page after page within. It only took me a couple of days to write entire frameworks for the game. And of course, since we're using a cross compiler, that is, I'm writing everything on a PC, building it on a PC, and putting it first on an emulator, and then later on real hardware. The fact that I'm able to build the entire game by the time is just so much better than what it was back in 1980.
Oh yes, like there are certainly aspects you don't want to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
And has there? I suppose on the inverse, has there been anything that's more difficult to implement your code now than would have been back in the day?
There's nothing that's more difficult. The only thing that's always been the problem is the limited memory. So just trying to figure out how to put all this content on an Apple II computer while still fitting in this case into 128K. And thankfully, that's where I came in. Is I had a whole bag of tricks on because I saw this problem back in 1980. So I said, okay, you need this type of compression. I have the source code of that. Here you go. I have this compression. I have this technique. And it says, this is what I did in Bard's Tale. This is what I did in Pastimes in Tone Town. And we just apply all these different techniques, mostly to get what they already had to fit on the discs, to which then they said, well, now we have all this extra space. Let's add more levels.
Oh, the wonders of compression. Like,
Mhm.
and as I was shifting back a bit to the Native American thing, where does this game take place, and what tribe is being represented here?
I think it was called the Nakota or Dakota. I had to ask Seth that specific question, but it's set in the Washington State tribes along the Washington State and the Idaho border. It's around the wooded area, with lots of forests, some canyons. There is a desert area, but it's in that particular area of the United States.
I
Of
gotta
course,
admit that.
and of course, at the time of setting of the game, those weren't states yet. This is just a territory.
Right. I gotta admit that's a fairly unique um, uh, setting for the Wild West. Like, if you get a Wild West game, it's usually in the Amer- sorry, American Southwest.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm guessing, like, just um, well, I don't know if you know this question, but what was the rationale for picking Washington State?
Well, for one, the areas allowed us to have a good variety of topography because, like, when you do the Southwest, you really mostly only getting desert or chaparral. In the Pacific Northwest, you have both the forests, you have the plains for the hunters who hunt the bison, and then you have the East Washington Desert, which is not really that much of a desert because mostly dried grassland, but there are deserts area in there. And of course, the settings is because the fact part of the game's lore is that there are spirits of the different areas that are angry because somebody screwed up an Indian burial ground. You know that story, and as a result, the spirits are restless and are causing problems, not just for the settlers, but also for the Native Americans. So both sides of the story are hating each other because they're blaming each other for what's really going on. But you, as the character, have to get the two sides to realize that neither is responsible for this. This is just a misunderstanding, and you need to appease the spirit, which, of course, is how you win the game.
Okay. And who are you, the character? Um, and are you a character, or are you like a sheriff type of class? I guess.
You're basically only saddled with being a sheriff class per se, but the game is skill based and it doesn't really assign you as a class. What you really are is you're just somebody who came to this town looking for your fame and fortune, and you happen to be saddled with this stuff, and your choices are now to either help people or if you want, you can start being an outlaw and causing trouble, but of course it'll get you the bad ending. But if you actually start helping people and start acting like a lawman, there's parts in the game where you actually get deputized. If, of course, you help people out. Otherwise, the sheriff's after you. Um, but it's one where that you are not the sheriff. You